make things in your own creative spaces, and make sure you have the time to make that, because sleep is for the weak, but work is for the weekend. Sleep is for the weak, but work is for the weekend.
Hi everyone, welcome to our first official episode of the TrinEnews Art and Culture segment. Guess what? We stopped by UWI, that's right, the University of the West Indies in Trinidad and Tobago, where we found an interesting art group called We Does Draw. They were kind enough to share what they were doing and how they were building the art community in TNT. Well, without further ado, let's join the fun and support the local art community. We Does Draw, everyone.
Just give us your name and what's your profession, like what do you do?
My name is Nabil. I work for Island People Eventology. I'm a graphic designer. I do visual design for both companies.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I am a spoken word poet and performer, an aspiring writer. I perform in schools, I perform for events like poetry, live poetry is a thing that I do.
I'm James Hackett, I'm a professional Good.
We good.
Yeah, do not put that. I'm a fashion designer, illustrator, and one of the founding members of We Does Draw.
Could you describe to us what this We Does Draw event is about?
Well, We Does Draw started as an idea that James and I had to get creative people together and to put them in a space where they could just kind of cross-interact, where they could inspire each other, and where they could talk about the act of being creative, whether professionally or amateur. And we really wanted to keep it open for everybody to be able to contribute in some way, in some small way, in some large way. And it started off as just us meeting in food courts at malls. It started off with just like casual meetups and everything. And then eventually we made a Facebook group and it started to take off from there. And James takes care of the Facebook group, and we have members now from all over the world, like
everywhere.
Multiple countries, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and every once in a while, we will do meetups, we'll do coming together in open spaces and just encouraging people, just bring your art supplies, whether or not you're any kind of artist. You can be a visual artist, you can be a writer, you can be a costume designer, it doesn't matter what you are. Once you are a creative type, we just encourage you to come meet other creative types and draw some inspiration from that.
So, what do you see in this? What draws you into this event?
So the first time that I came to We Does Draw, maybe 2-3 years ago, I was just like passing through for the most part. I was writing and performing for a while before that, nothing big, and I really just wanted to find like communities of other creative people where I could just be around and have ideas to draw from and like just make things in the background. And I found We Does Draw by accident one day in Trin City Mall. We started figuring out stuff, like just bouncing ideas off of each other while I'm watching all of these other people make their stuff. And like this was like one of the most rewarding opportunities for me to be in a space like that. So I come every once in a while, and one of We Does Draw's resident non-drawers as a result. And like we benefit a lot from having like cross artistic conversations where they will we does benefit where I tell them this would look good and they will draw it, or they will tell me, like they will show me something that they're working on, like this makes a good character for a story, and we like ideas just grow out of that. And I think a lot of people like benefit from that experience, having the ability to have conversations with other artists, whether in their art form or not, and like being able to draw influences, inspirations, and ideas for things that they can make with the talents that they already have.
For me, it's a number of reasons, mainly just that I could get a draw. I think that's why most of us here anyway. Because you're working, you have family and that kind of stuff. But sometimes here you could just come and talk to people who would probably be, who you could actually have a conversation about the things that you're passionate about, or at least even if they may not be into it, they will be willing to listen. And it's just good conversation, a nice excuse to meet people who do what you do. And that's about it.
A personal question, what got you into drawing in the first place? Like, what was your first character you ever draw? How much years were you drawing, stuff like that?
People People ask me a lot, like, when did you start drawing? And I think that's kind of a loaded question because I don't think anybody like starts drawing at any specific age. I think you always start being creative from the moment you're born. Like, I mean, little children are creative. Little children can figure paint everything. The question is not when did you start drawing. The question is when did you stop. And I think a lot of people need to, even if you haven't drawn in years, because everybody draws when they're little, you can always pick up a pencil and start drawing. And some of the world's best artists have started in their later years and, you know, just gone on through really wonderful things. As for some of the stuff that I'm proud of having created, I draw so much for other people now that it's barely ever what I like specifically make myself like creative wise. But currently right now I'm actually working on a project that I don't want to say too much about, but just to say that it is a video game project that aims to highlight Trinidad and Tobago's culture. And that is something I'm really proud of, and I think it's going to be one of the defining moments of my entire artistic career. I'm drawing all the characters, designing all of them, and I'm hoping that people keep an eye on it, and you know, I'm hoping that it says something globally about Trinidad and Tobago's art scene as a whole.
Alright, arts, animation, artwork. What drew you to it initially? What always draws you to it now?
Art as a thing, art as a product, I've always been like interested in its process, regardless of what the form is. Especially like narrative productions, like when somebody's making something to tell a story, whether it's like one single piece of still artwork or an entire animation, whether it's one poem or one short story or one entire novel, whether it's a short film or a feature film. Like once it's telling a story, I've always been gravitating towards it. I've met a great deal of people who are in some way or form working on very interesting stories in this space. And, like, their stories in particular are some of the best ideas or best developed ideas that I've ever seen in my life. Every once in a while I'll actually see something here that actually inspires me to make better work for myself. And I wish that more people would actually come to an actual meeting and see the kind of things that come up. Either like things that somebody has the idea of when they get here and start working, or something that they've taken from work or taken from home to show other people. And it's actually some of the best work that I've seen, not only from people in my space, but some of the best work that I've sometimes ever seen, full stop, come out of Reader's Drawings. I wish more people could see the kind of value that local artists, regardless of the medium, have to offer in simple spaces like this where nobody's getting paid to show up. Some of us actually struggling. Some of us times real hard. I can say that, Claire could probably say that some of us times real hard, and we still come here just to say, hey, I have something really cool, you want to look at it? You know, sometimes some of the best work coming out of Trinidad and Tobago, full stop, and I wish more people who want to get to that point or think that they have something to share that would be really promising could come here and say, I have something really cool, do you want to see it? Because we will want to see it.
The same question, what inspired you to get into drawing? What inspires you today to continue drawing?
Well, I get plenty of licks when I was small. You have to draw. Nah, that's basically just the people around me and reading, right? Surprisingly enough. So that's why I'm always interested to be around people who write, who are really good at putting words together, because it taps into my imagination. And the next thing I want to do, I wasn't as good as a writer as I am at putting things on paper. So for me, it was just about, you know, trying to catch up with my imagination.
What are your thoughts on working in this local art creative industry here?
Well, I have a unique position in the local creative industry where I work for companies that do a lot of carnival work, and we do a lot of local event work. I've generally just very enjoyed being a part of that scene. Like, you meet so many interesting people, you meet people who are making an active change in society for the most part, and you get to be a part of that, you get to support that, and you get to shape the way it looks, and you get to shape the way it occurs and the way it happens, and that's a great responsibility. And I think people who aren't into this professionally, they can still come to our events here and see that there's not such a huge jump between what you do to make things look good in your free time and what you do in the industry to make it look good. Yeah, there's a change where you have to be working for someone and you have to like do it to their specifications. That is a thing that happens when you work in art. I mean, like, you can't just be always creatively free, but there's a value for that creative freedom out there. And if you venture your ideas, if your idea is good enough, genuinely, or for the most part, there'll be somebody who's willing to pay for that idea. So the local art scene has to be more aware that their work is valuable. And that is an important thing. Yes, you draw for fun, and yes, it might be easy for you, or it might be difficult for you. A lot of artists find art difficult. But at the end of the day, your time and your effort is important. And if somebody wants to put that on a pedestal, they better be willing to show that your work has value. And every piece of art does have value, whether it's a beginning scribble, whether it's a finished masterpiece, because the beginning scribble ends up as a finished masterpiece. I think the local art scene needs to understand that art will always be valuable.
Speaking specifically as a spoken word poet, in 2008 I had the good fortune of going to an international poetry festival, Brave New Voices Poetry Festival. Groups of young people from all around the US, and of the international groups that were there, I was a member of one of the only 3 groups there that were not American, and the 2 others were from the UK. Only Caribbean representatives there. Nobody knew what we were doing with the scene. Like, nobody knew that we were doing, that spoken word was existing in the Caribbean. Nobody knew what it sounded like, what kind of stories that we were telling. So when we started writing stories about our own experiences and sharing it with them, they were genuinely intrigued. They wanted to know more about our culture. They wanted to know more about our personal experiences. And they understood that at the heart of it, how people feel, what people do, how people act, is all the same. Like, people love, people hate, people feel incredibly happy, people feel incredibly angry. Those simple things exist all across the board. They just need a context to understand the space that it's happening in and what those cultural and historical influences mean to those people. So, to me, coming back from that, one of the things that I got was everybody wants to hear everybody else's story. There are people who, everybody has this problem where at least once somebody has mistaken us for Jamaica or Venezuela or some kind of shit like that. But when you tell them this is what it is like to be in Trinidad, this is what it looks like to be in Trinidad, this is what it feels like to be in Trinidad, they will try to understand, genuinely. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say that trying to reach out for a global audience is necessarily the be-all and end-all of our creative endeavors. I like far more often than not to do work for Trinidad. But you have to, I think that there's value in understanding that from a global perspective, we are telling stories that people genuinely want to hear because they want to know what the rest of the world is like. And we have a really beautiful place here. Trinidad and Tobago is a lovely place. Anybody who don't tell you that is a liar. And I like when people make art that shows people that Trinidad is a lovely place, because it is. And I want people to come here and admit it. And it's not just a beautiful place 2 times a year too. We don't have weeders during the middle of Carnival and then lock it off for the year. Trinidad is always a beautiful place, and we have beautiful stories to tell, even beautifully tragic ones. And the more people willing to create work that lets people know what it looks like and feels like to be a Trinidadian, the more Trinidad benefits, because people get not just to like us or to hate us, but to understand us, and that is valuable.
Art scene in Trinidad, I think, is fragmented. It has gotten better, but I think it has gotten better by the people who try to go out and connect with others, right? I mean, sometimes we can't get lazy as people. It's like you just get accustomed to meeting with your friends and you'll just kind of do that. So it isn't always fragmented because it's like a big agenda by somebody to just have like these cliques. But it's just like you're just comfortable with certain people and you'll do that. But we need to be more curious as people, as creative people, and really go out and explore. So like I might be into fashion, but I could go and see what the animators are doing, or the fine artists are doing, you know, or even what is going on in Carnival. And I think by doing that, just by being creatively curious, we could kind of, you know, generate even more interesting things for the artists.
Any advice for young up-and-coming artists, animators, etc.?
Make something every day. It could be a finished piece, it could be a start, it could be just something you jot down on a piece of paper. But make sure that every day when you go to sleep, you leave the world with something more than what it had before. Even if it's just for you, just make something. Don't sit on ideas, because that's the worst thing you can do with an idea, is to sit and smother. Stay up at nights, make artwork, make things in your own creative spaces, and make sure you have the time to make that, because Sleep is for the weak, but work is for the weekend.
Matthew looking at me and I said,
Facebook status when I go home.
Yeah.
for anybody making any kind of art, I only have a handful of rules. One, Ernest Hemingway is never actually quoted as saying write drunk, edit sober, so I can keep the line anyway. Write Bazadi, edit normal. Always make anything that you can, as Nabil said. Anything that can possibly come out of your head when you have the idea, make it as soon as possible. Take the time to fix it after it's done, because you don't know what the problems are until you actually make a mistake. That's one. Two, meet somebody new every day, because not only do those experiences of meeting any normal person actually edify you as an individual, but the more creative people you meet and the more work that you see from other creative people, the better your understanding of art as a whole becomes. You get to see what boundaries you can push with the medium that you're working with, and eventually your work gets stronger and you understand your own style. And three, learn something new every day, because if you're telling the same stories that you're telling every single day, eventually people will tell you that you only have one story to tell. And Trinidad doesn't have one story to tell, so always know what those other stories are and be willing to tell them.
Yeah, same question. Any advice for any up-and-coming artists, animators, etc.?
Stop whining.
Stop whining!
That's good advice.
Which wine?
That's good advice.
Which wine?
Really and truly, it have no excuse in it. Just go and draw. Don't get caught up in the whole trying to be studying what people saying about people, and focus more on ideas and concepts and just you bettering yourself. Because the more you focus on the actual thing that you're doing and not about the people that doing the thing, you'll get a lot further. So I would say that.
Alright, where can we find out more about We Just Draw or any other association or club that deals with animation drawing?
You definitely should check us out on Facebook. We have a We Just Draw group that we will add people to on request. You can come there to show off your work. You can come there to know when the next meetup is. As far as the local art scene goes, I'm actually going to take the time to let you know about a local animation group that is doing a company that's doing some really good things. Their representatives couldn't be here today, but Lab 206 Studios, if you check them out online, are doing some of the best animation work in Trinidad and Tobago right now. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I really like the work that they do, and there's some dear friends, and I really want them to get some. I want people to know about them, because I want people to know that quality work is coming out of the Caribbean.
Alright, where can we find out more about the spoken word poetry scene, or about your work, for example? Where can we get that?
Well, I have a page on Facebook, Brandon O'Brien. You could find that and give me a blah if you want. But far more importantly than that, there is a group called the 2 Cents Movement. The 2 Cents Movement is one of the greatest groups of young up-and-coming Trini poets. Those now learning the craft, try to perfect it, and those who have been performing for a really long time, both coming together and making a groundbreaking work and trying to share positive stories for young people to become more knowledgeable both of their culture and what it means to be an individual and grow as people. Very, very valuable work.
In terms of fashion, for me, you could check out the lushkingdom.com, or you could just look for The Art of James Hackett on Facebook, and of course We Just Draw in the group.
Any thoughts? Any last words?
You're gonna shoot me after this? Never let anybody tell you what you can't do as far as art's done, because everybody knows what you can do, but what can't be done hasn't been done yet. Yeah?
The last thing that I will say is, every day you can find a song, a film, a book, a short story, an album that you've never heard before, that when you listen to it, it's going to give you something that you can use either to become a better person or to become a better artist. And if you're not spending the day trying to find that thing, you've actually wasted some of your time. But the rest of the time, you're probably wasting not working.
Any last words?
Learn to enjoy sleep.
Why sleep?
Learn to enjoy food, and learn to enjoy people.
TrinEnews will return after this short message. for hidden agendas.
No more media manipulation.
You the voice of the people.
We need to fight ignorance with education. We need to learn to appreciate what our forefathers gave us. But don't forget, we are the new generation. Alright.
What do we need to build our nation? We need to understand the needs of the people and our government. We need art and culture. We need real spirituality, okay? We need health.
TrinEnews, presented by TrinEvolve Studios. Visit TrinEvolve.com and click TrinEnews for more information. Independent, alternative, grassroots news for youth who want change.
I am Claire Hammersmith.
So,
Okay, I've been coming to this for a few years now. I can't remember exactly when I started coming, but I was in animation in UTT in the University of Trinidad Tobago for 2 years, and so that's kind of how I know James, because he was in fashion right upstairs. So when he started We Just Draw, we kind of naturally came and started drawing with him. So that's how I got here. That's how I keep coming here. What I would prefer to call myself is a writer. I like to write. I've been writing a book for like 8 years now. I've been trying to write. So when I draw, what I'm usually drawing is what I'm writing. So the characters, the maps, the little gadgets, costumes, all that. That usually gets into the writing on the book. So that's how I really keep drawing and so on. When I graduated from UTT, we started our own company. We called Lab 206. Actually, I co-founded Lab 206 with the other guys. I was the executive secretary for like about 2 years. And we were doing stuff. We were doing pilots, shows, music videos, and so on. And then I went to Toronto for them to pitch a script. And I came back. But then we had, we did different things, and I started to do a different project, a school, a website, an educational website, and they wanted a virtual world. And I know a little bit of Flash animation and Flash coding, so I said, I'll help you out with that, and I started doing a Flash game for them, a kind of dress me up kind of game thing, and I was doing that for a while. Animation is an interesting thing. I started animation because I went to an anime Carib. I ran away from school one day and I went to an anime Carib event, which is the animation festival here in Trinidad. And the guy who did the music video for Gorillaz, for the El Mañana and the Feel Good music video, he came down. I was blown away because they had that thing where they performed for MTV. It was the music awards, and they had them as live characters, and I was just, whoa, Madonna's dancing with them, and oh, cool. So I got into animation because of that. People get into animation for different things. And I think the main thing about animation is being able to draw, which is great because that's what We Just Draw really does, is gets people to draw. So if people just draw more, then they can go to do animation, they could do it on their own, and they can learn how to make the drawings move, which is like magic sometimes. I mean, it's hard work. You spend long hours animating, but I think it will be interesting to see more people in animation just to share their own stories, and for us to see animation, see ourselves and our stories, Trinidad stories in animation, for everybody to see all of that. I think we need more of that in Trinidad. this is the main point. I think most people don't realize. You have to keep drawing. You must keep writing. Do not stop. Keep a workbook, keep a sketchbook around, keep a notebook around. Draw and write all the time because you will only get better. Regardless of if it's stick figures or a poem or anything like that, just keep writing, regardless if it looks like crap. Because you just need to keep practicing. Because eventually a story is going to come out of that, and you'll be ready for it when it comes. Most of it is going to change anyway, so you can see what I have. If you like. This is mostly for my book though. Very long years.
Wow.
Yeah. That when I say writing for 8 years, that means building the world and so on like that. It's rewriting it. More rewriting. These are different characters. I was trying to find different styles to play with. As you notice, I only draw round heads because I can't figure out how to draw faces yet. And very thin, tiny people because they're like toys to me. Lots of scribbling. This is my favorite one. She was my main character at one point, and now I'm taking it from a different angle completely. These are supposed to be chakrams, like Xena had chakrams. Now she has a different weapon altogether, so she's useless. And just a lineup of some of the characters, hoods and stuff. I like lots of clothes. There's trying to do more close-ups on their faces. This was a tower that they were living in, but I can't use this anymore. When I say I can't use it anymore, it means that I've changed the story because I keep developing and changing it. So it's all development. So all of it is useful, but I can't use it as the main story, as the main concept. This is actually coding here. I have a thing called script, called CAS. It's like programming, but I wanted it to look a bit like alchemy from, like Full Metal Alchemist kind of thing. And I realized that's a very difficult thing to do if you don't know how to exactly draw alchemy. These are the maps of the world. So this will have to change around a bit to fit the story a bit more, but I have like different countries and different cities and so on. Here's another continent. This one's a bit out of proportion because there's supposed to be windmills. Oh, this is Dayij, so this is the bottom of the world. It's supposed to be a desert because it's always facing the sun. This is me trying to draw a bunny skull and trying to make it an emblem. This is the main character now, but I have to fix it. She's supposed to look a bit like a blue heron. Don't know if I'm getting there yet, but I'm supposed to like feathers and jackets, and she's supposed to ride a bike because I like bikes. That's why it's taking 8 years. Apparently world building takes a lot of time. So yeah, it's literally my soul. And I'm hoping to put like a website up so that people can start reading it someday soon.
Iron telescope. Thank you very much. No. Well, it's something like an art convention we just draw. Different artists from all over the country just come together, like display their stuff. Even get like some ideas from fellow artists, how to improve collaborations, whatever. Just like develop their skills then to become the best artists they could be. Well, I've been drawing like since school days. A motherfucker made like my first comic book in junior second self. Then actually got things actually kicked up when I reached senior comp with this series I had called Volts. But in this project I'm working right now is this one here called Stone. Main character here, Russell Disco, gets the ability to actually turn his body itself into stone and even do different earth-bending abilities like an avatar and like also like Full Metal Alchemist stuff like that. Tite Kubo. Well, I mean, like his two best work right now, which is even a big hit even all to today. Bleach, even though it doesn't go on in the cartoon series, but the manga is still going on very strong. And the anime series Naruto, which is like really like the subject of a lot of conversation in anime groups. A matter of fact, I even like hope actually get like that big. Make Stone reach that distance, give him some competition. Don't take no horrors, Tite. They just only what you inspire. Dreams for myself and the country, well, that this would actually make it big to international scale, that the world actually recognize Trinidad on the whole, to have like artistic ability, not just like in music, like how like Nicki Minaj like represent Trinidad with her music, but that maybe even like I can represent Trinidad with my artwork as well, on an international scale, all over the world. No problems. Okay. Also, don't forget to check out Stone the Manga series on youtube.com. Keyword Stone the Manga series. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe if you like it. Do like. Also, please share with your friends. Thank you very much. God bless. See you around.